friends, welcome to the 95th session of Legal Empowerment Through Interaction lecture series. The journey of discovery, empowerment and being exposed to different thoughts and ideas continues. We are nearing our century. It is in fact wonderful to have Mr. Atul Srivastava from Delhi. He is dealing with from a police prosecutor to public prosecutor and the importance of public prosecutor as far as the criminal jurisprudence is concerned. We are especially thankful to Nima Noor for introducing this wonderful speaker to our midst. And we are also grateful that we have Justice V. Ramkumar among us and all you wonderful participants. So over to you, Ramkumar sir, for the introduction of the topic.
Yes, thank you, Shyam. Good afternoon, everybody. Friends, in the 14th report of the Law Commission of India, it was observed that police prosecutors who were conducting prosecutions in the magistrates courts in India under the Code of Criminal Procedure 1898, for all intents and purposes were members of the police force, and that having regard to the nature of the duties they had to discharge, it was not possible for them to exhibit the requisite degree of detachment that was necessary for a public prosecutor. The Law Commission further stated that a belief prevails among the police officers that their promotion in the department depended upon the number of convictions they were able to obtain as prosecuting officers. The Law Commission strongly felt the need to conform to the salutary rule that the prosecution of criminal cases should be entrusted with public prosecutors who should act fairly and impartially. Accordingly, the Law Commission suggested certain remedial measures for the improvement of the system. It was inter alia recommended as follows. The departments of the machinery of criminal justice, namely the investigation department and the prosecution department, should be completely separated from each other. It is one of the recommendations. Second was, the prosecuting agency should be completely detached from the police department. Thirdly, in every district, a separate prosecution department may be constituted and placed in charge of an official called the Director of Public Prosecutions. The entire prosecution machinery in the district was to be under his control. In order to ensure that Director of Public Prosecutions is not regarded as part of the police department, he should be given the status of an independent official who is directly responsible to the state government. These were the recommendations made in the report of the Law Commission. The Parliament very, very positively got into to effectuating the above remedial measures suggested by the Law Commission, and we have seen the present CRPC, Code of Criminal Procedure 1973. This was made reference by the Apex Court in one of its judgments in SB Shahane versus State of Maharashtra, year 1995 Supreme Court 1628, wherein this change was very beautifully noted by the Supreme Court. And consistent with the recommendations of the Law Commission, the Parliament made provisions in the present CRPC for the separation of the judiciary from the executive wherever possible in relation to other areas as well. Now, pausing here for a moment, with regard to the freedom and independence of a police officer conducting the investigation of a case, a 3-judge bench of the Supreme Court in Vineet Narayan versus Union of India made the following observation by the great Lord Denning in R versus Metropolitan Police Commissioner 1968 to Queen's Bench 118. I quote, I have no hesitation, however, in holding that like every constable in the land, he should be and is independent of the executive. He is not subjected to the orders of the Secretary of State. Again, the great law lord mentioned, he is not the servant of anyone, save of the law alone, law itself. No minister of the crown can tell him that he must or must not keep observation on this place or that place, or that nor can any police authority tell him so. The responsibility for law enforcement lies on him. He is answerable to the law and to the law alone. Are we finding such police officers in our day-to-day life? My own doubt. This was the observation by great Lord Denning, which was very copiously extracted by the apex court in Vineet Narayan's case. Thereafter, in MC Mehta, AR 2007 Supreme Court 1087, a three-judge bench of the Supreme Court said that with regard to the CBI manual, when there is a conflict between CBI manual and the Code of Criminal Procedure, the Code of Criminal Procedure will prevail, not the CBI manual. So, with a view to insulate the police machinery from the interference and influence of the political executive, a couple of three-judge bench rulings are also relevant. That is, the citations are, in fact, our former late N.R. Madhav Menon had also some role to play in these decisions. Pragar Singh versus Union of India, 2006 8 SEC 1, subsequently followed up by 2009 17 SEC 329. Now, in today's lecture, Mr. Atul Srivastava, we will be taken through the metamorphosis of the old police prosecutor into the present public prosecutor, who came a new apparel. He had donned the new apparel in the year 1973 and his journey thereafter. Whether this important functionary in the administration of justice stands completely insulated from the police influence, or whether he has been with a power of ruling to roast the prosecuting jurisprudence or jurisdiction vested in him, are all matters for deliberation, both at the level of the bench and the bar, as well as at the level of the police constabulary, and also including the academicians and members of the public also. They are also vitally interested in the conduct of criminal cases in our courts. Over to you, Mr. Srivastava, Atul Srivastava. I wish you all the best.
Thank you, sir. First of all, it's a matter of great, immense pleasure, and I'm thankful to my colleague Nima, who got me who provided me this opportunity to interact directly with sir, as I have been reading many blogs which you have, and I'm enlightened by your blogs which you are writing on the live law. It's excellent, sir. Sir, whenever I feel any problem, if I go through your topic, that topic is never, it is almost like I'm sitting as a student and my teacher is there, professor is there, sir.
I am thankful to you.
Sir, really, sir, I'm very thankful to Shyam sir also, Nima, that provided me. Anyway, sir, there are two words that is there, the police prosecutor and public prosecutor. This prefix, this police prosecutor, as sir has already stated, that prior to the present CRPC, which has come into existence from the 1st of April to 1974, earlier the public prosecutor used to be the police prosecutor. They used to report to the police officers daily by daily, and they used to be known as prosecuting sub-inspector. So just see what is the position. So they were working as a sub-inspector, and they used to report and take the necessary training, like all drill, parades, etc., etc. So their outlook, their facet was very limited. But now the public prosecutor, this very second prefix, that is the public prosecutor, has completely changed the horizon. But as rightly sir has said, but that has not changed to the extent which was expected in the report also. Sir has quoted many judgments, so I will just quote another judgment that has been now done in Shiv Kumar versus Hukam Chand. That very judgment, there the question was whether a public prosecutor can be, prosecution can be conducted by any private counsels. The only ground on which the Honorable Supreme Court has rejected the plea. No, it is the only public prosecutor who can conduct in a sessions court, because there are two trials in a district court, since I'm in a district court. So this first is the magisterial and second is the sessions court. So as per the judgment that Shiv Kumar versus Hukamchand also, in a sessions court, compulsorily, it is the public prosecutor who can conduct the case. And right from this very journey, what the sir had just quoted, and thereafter
Section 301 and 302.
Right, sir. Right, sir. So recently, the Rekha Murarka judgment, that has, to my best of my knowledge, is the latest one, wherein the question was there: if the public prosecutor is not performing his duty diligently, or he misses something, or we may say intentionally he is not doing his duty as per so. So whether this very person who has been privately engaged by the complainant or the victim, so can he not take over, or can he not put something, cross-examine the witnesses? So here in this question was rightly answered in this very Honorable Supreme Court has, because then in that very situation, if the public prosecutor has missed some question, or willingly he has not put certain question in the cross-examination, even then the private person cannot be permitted to cross-examine the witness. But what is there? So they have reminded the learned judges also, you have the power under 311 and 311 of the CRPC, as well as 165 of the Evidence Act. Then he said, the person, private counsel, can put the question, and then that can be, if the judge can put this question beside the completion of this thing to the public prosecutor. So this is the lump sum of the public prosecutor and the police prosecutor. So it is expected that public prosecutor is the agent of justice. Agent of justice, I would say, because his responsibility is not towards only the police or the victim or the society, but he is representing a state as victim, accused, all the way. In that very judgment itself, the Honorable Supreme Court has reminded, if even the defense has missed certain portion which he should have put for the benefit of this thing, or some important point which is even favoring the accused, if he misses it, and it is within the knowledge of the public prosecutor, then it becomes the duty of the public prosecutor to point it out to the learned judge and bring it, because it is the justice which is being done. Justice means quest for truth. So yes, we all are there to assist the learned judge in a trial to come to the truth. So whether it is favoring accused or favoring prosecution, but it must be brought to the kind notice. Recently, in one of the matter that was there in case of this, I believe it was which I myself was conducting in a first time in a case wherein one, I would not name the dignitary or some ministers were there, and on the other side some senior IAS officers were there. In that very case, I used to appear, and thereafter sometimes certain direction I stopped appearing. Then it was the police it was the complainant who has moved the application to no, I would be happy if my prosecution is conducted by the police. Then there was a discussion on 301 and 302, because 302 says an officer who has never been participated in the investigation and not below the rank of inspector, he can be given the prosecution, and thereafter it was given. Now the matter is under challenge before the Honorable High Court, and I don't know what will be happening. So the role of public prosecutor, because what I feel is the four stakeholders are there in criminal justice system, sir. First is a judge who is conducting the who is supervising all the thing as the judge. Then the defense counsel, then public prosecutor, and the police. So what I feel is, sir, it is the public prosecutor who is a bridge between the police and the judge. So to my mind, sir, since I'm working in this very place that is Delhi, so what I have, my own experience is there. So police is rich. Police is now, even the SHOs, they all are given not less than 25 by 25 or 30 by 30 area. The chambers is provided, and same with the judicial officer also. But you will be surprised to know, or the NEMA who is there, she can say that we have been provided a 20 by 20 room wherein 35 public prosecutors are sitting.
My goodness.
Sir, the law says that the public prosecutor will hear the person. Then, as per Bunty versus Estate of MP versus Bunty, it is the public prosecutor who has a right to interview the witnesses and the victim. So we don't have a chair to offer him. And where is the question or discussion? If I feel
Deplorable.
sir, this is we don't have. Please, I would request all of you. You just visit this Delhi, because Delhi is a central. And thing is, nowadays we have been provided one chamber. Like it is almost like a post office or a bank clerk who has been provided one chair and one place to put your what you say. This is a laptop. That is all. So what I feel is, still the prosecution needs to be strengthened if you want to achieve the goal for which the 14th report was prepared. Sir. One. Secondly, what I had suggested earlier also, okay, there should have been a very small 6x6, maybe 6x6 chamber with a court's premise in the court premises itself, adjacent to the court. Then we will be in better position to explain the things. Sir. Today also, I was attending one my court's proceeding through video conferencing. And it was the London Defence Council who has asked for benefit of Probation of Offenders Act. So I said, sir, this is a case where the minimum sentence is provided. There's a 398 or 393 or something. So I said, sir, as per the dictum laid down by the Honorable Supreme Court of India, where the minimum punishment is there, you cannot claim even the Probation Offender Act. So it was me only who is having, I'm having a laptop, iPad with me and my phone. So I just take it out, and I am having a good relation with the Judge Sahab also. It is almost like a individual efforts, I would say. It's not a department. Then I tax this, my judgment of Delhi High Court, which has been delivered by Honorable Justice Mukta Gupta ma'am, and then Syam versus Union of India, wherein it was a case where the 6 months minimum punishment was there. Even then, Honorable Supreme Court has said, no, where minimum punishment is there, you cannot extend the benefit. So what I feel is, okay, though they are called Minister of Justice, but justice is without anything. Anyway, now, sir, if you go, why this police prosecutor is the public prosecutor, if you go to the basic provisions or law further enumerated or elaborated by Honorable Constitutional Courts in the matter of 321, and recently in a matter of 199, I will just write down, I will just point out the judgments in which it has been said. So 321, what does it say? Okay, the public prosecutor has to independently apply his mind, and judicial decision has to be taken by him whether it is a fit case to be where the prosecution should be withdrawn against the entire accused or particular accused. So here the role of public prosecutor is independent. Ideally speaking, whether it is Shivnandan Paswan's judgment or many other judgments are also. But nowadays it is being misused, I would say. But independence should be there. And then 199(2) CRPC that says, wherein any defamation is there towards some honorable ministers or certain senior officers, public servant, while doing their duty, if they have been defamed, then it is the public prosecutor who can be directed by the government to file a complaint. And the public prosecutor would be the complainant, and in place of that very honorable minister or any judge, that has to be done. So in one matter, right now, I can point out wherein the public direction was given to the public prosecutor to file the complaint. The day when it was filed, the direction had come to him to file the complaint. On that very day, he had filed the complaint. And he has accepted it in the cross-examination. So this case had gone up to the Honorable Supreme Court of India, and it was decided since the day when the public prosecutor was directed, and he has on the very day, he had filed it. So there was no question of application of mind, etc. On this ground, it was rejected, sir. So what is the expectation is just give me a little bit time. I will point out that very judgment.
Wait.
Sir, it is K.K. Mishra versus State of Madhya Pradesh and others. This is criminal appeal number 6064 of 2017. Criminal, I'm so sorry, it's a criminal appeal number 547 of 2018. And in this very judgment, the Honorable Supreme Court has very categorically stated that the day on which Sir, it is in the present case, the press meet was conveyed by the appellant on 21st of June 2014. The government accorded sanction to the public prosecutor to file the complaint under 500 IPC against the appellant on 24th of June 2014. As seen from the records, the complaint was filed by the public prosecutor against the appellant on the very same day, that is 24th of June 2014. The haste which, I'm so sorry for repetition, the haste with which the complaint was filed prima facie indicates that the public prosecutor may not have applied his mind to material placed before him as held in Baliram Murlidhar case Supra. We therefore, without hesitation, take the view that the complaint is not maintainable on the very face of it and would deserve our interference. And accordingly, it was said. So, what is the expectation of the law? What Sir has said and what has been stated in Vinit Narayan or recently Rekha Murarka, all the judgment, they say they are agent of the justice. They are friend of the court, friend of the defense counsel, friend of the accused. But we are not in position to do the thing because our criteria of your what you say cleverness or your work is determined on the basis of this conviction. So conviction rate. Again and again they are saying conviction rate. So and recently one of the judgment that's shocking to me, I'm so sorry to say this, use this word. In that very judgment, that very estate of Gujarat versus Kishan Bhai and others, that judgment says in which one of the unfortunate girl must be a minor girl. She was raped and subsequently she was gagged to death also. So she died, and while they were fleeing away, some ornaments was there in her hand or legs, I don't remember. So he chopped off that very leg or that very part with a one knife being used by the coconut seller who was just selling this coconut nearby the place. So while police were investigating the case, so this knife, this coconut seller went to the police station. He produced that very knife. It must be a, what you say, the blood stained knife. So it was seized in the presence of the punch witnesses, and that was done. And thereafter, it was agitated by the defense counsel. The person whose knife was used and who had produced the knife, he has not been made prosecution witness by the police, nor examined by the prosecution by applying the application of 311. So the honorable, this learned trial judge, he said that there is a question of seizure, and that very seizure of the knife has been beautifully or has been amply proved through the punch witnesses, and that has not been challenged also. But unfortunately, and he was convicted. Convicted, you must have gone through judgment, and he was convicted and he was sentenced death sentence. But the accused has appealed, and Honorable Gujarat High Court was pleased to set aside the conviction, giving the benefit of doubt. So State of Gujarat had come to the Supreme Court, and Honorable Supreme Court on that very basis was pleased to set aside the, while setting aside the judgment of this, upheld this thing, they have said the person who had done, the accused must be roaming around the Ahmedabad or some places on the earth. So if he is roaming free, it is due to the bad work by the investigating officer or not due diligence by the public prosecutor. So thereafter, the direction was there, okay, in every case which turns into this acquittal, there has to be compulsorily scrutiny of that very case. And if it is found that there was some fault on the part of the IO, that the IO should be proceeded departmentally. And if it is found that yes, there was some glaring mistake on the part of the IO, it should be kept permanently out from the investigating agent. And at the same time, sir, if public prosecutor has been found he is at the fault, then public prosecutor should also be dealt and departmentally, etc., etc. And that judgment has recently been upheld in one of the matter. And thereafter, the chief secretaries of all the states have been directed to form the screening committee. And now probably in other states also, there is a screening committee who examine and scan all the things after acquittal. And nowadays, even the discharge order, etc., every order is gone to the screening committee. So what I feel, sir, sorry to say, our independence is somewhat, and nobody knows what are the circumstances. And law says, a state of MP versus Bunty, that says I have the right to cross-examine the person. So if we have been able to prove certain fact by examining 2 or 3 witnesses or the single witnesses, because as per 134 of the evidence is not to be counted, rather it is to be weighed. Right, sir. So if it is, we have been able to prove certain fact, so there is no need of examining the other person, because there will be other scopes for what do you say, like contradiction, etc., etc. So I myself has gone in many times wherein some of the relatives, they have been gained over. So if I say, have you gone through? No, sir. Mujhe sab yaad hai. I will respect. But the face, sir, you must have written in your many judgments also what the benefit of the trial judge is that he is in position to see the demeanor of the person also, the facial expression, many things. If you interact with someone, like this webinar is going on, even then had there been a physical, then it would have been, I'm so sorry, it would be more meaningful and more interesting also. So, so in that situation, sometimes, sir, we come to know that yes, this man is not going to tell lie. Rather, he is going to just give a serious dent to the prosecution. So in that very situation, sir, we may need certain dropping of the witnesses. But again, by this very judgment, which I have quoted just now, some person may say that there must have been, or there might have been some reason behind dropping him, sir. So this such type of things, so if liberty is given by the courts, by the authoritative pronouncement by the Honorable Supreme Court of India, that's the role of the public prosecutor should be. Now, sir, I'm so sorry, nowadays, the defense counsel, they are very well equipped. They come with the batteries of lawyer. They are having so much of instrument with them, so many law gadgets, etc. Everything is there in their fingertips, they come out. But the public prosecutor, we stand with a constable or the head constable who is more interested in other things. And he is not a legal person. So we must be given some sort of infrastructure so that we can work out with a teams, because this system, whether it is a criminal trial or a civil trial, it needs a teamwork. So there should be a teamwork, and with the teamwork, we will be in better position to achieve the ultimate justice, I feel, sir. Then, sir, earlier, because of this, the law has made us public prosecutor. So, and then as the section 24 is there, then sometimes right now in Delhi, some riot has taken place, unfortunately, in the Trans Jamna. And then some of the private lawyers have been appointed as a special public prosecutor, or they're dealing with. So now again, a question is being raised, even by the senior officers also. If something is wrong, found wrong, then will be in position to just initiate any departmental action or some action against him, because they are not a public servant, and we cannot do something. So now they are thinking, so what I feel is the public prosecutor role is really they are ministers of justice, but make them justice, let them feel do justice, and then we will be in better position to do that. And the most important thing is, in Kishan Bhai's judgment also, the Honorable Supreme Court has rightly said, because you must have heard, sir, one of the judgment that R. Sarla versus T.S. Velusamy. In that very judgment, that was the single
legal advice. Cannot give legal advice.
Sir. So there was a single question that was to be determined by the Honorable Supreme Court. Probably it was the Honorable Single Judge or some district judge. They have directed you go and take the legal opinion from the public prosecutor and then decide whether to file that. Make them. In that very judgment, I believe there was a matrimonial issue, something, and then some person were left. Then it was the judicial direction. Yes, go and take the opinion from the public prosecutor and then decide this thing, whether he should be implemented as accused or not. So the matter went to the Honorable Madras High Court, and Honorable Madras High Court had decided, no, yes, you can, such direction can be given. The ultimate matter went to the Honorable Supreme Court in R. Sarla versus. In that very case, the very first line, the public prosecutor, role of the public prosecutor inside the court, and they work at a two different area. So their role is inside the court, whereas the the police role is the outside the court. Very beautifully. But in that very judgment itself, it has been beautifully, I would say, that said, if they are, because they have, Honorable Judges has already used this word, had there been any case that police had gone to the public prosecutor of their own volition, independently, without being asked to take the opinion, we would not have vexed our mind on this very issue. So they can take opinion either from the public prosecutor, any person to whom they feel they are the best person who can advise and in framing our case or finalizing our case or taking the shape of the case. But sir, on this very issue in Delhi also, one of the judicial officers had directed our Director of Prosecution as well as the Commissioner of Police to stop the scrutiny, because in Delhi there is a system of scrutiny. After completion of this charge sheet, earlier as
Here also,
right. So because Kishan Bhai says you should, Kishan Bhai said you must, and now other states also. So one of the judicial officer of Delhi, he has directed the public prosecutor, Director of Prosecution as well as the Commissioner of Police to stop it, because there is an authoritative pronouncement by the Honorable Supreme Court in the R. Sarla to stop this very practice. So this direction was there. So this very order was challenged by the state of Delhi, and it was heard by Honorable Justice M.C. Garg Sahab. And it is a state of Delhi versus Mukesh. So if you say, I can give the citations also. In that very judgment, a state of NCT of Delhi versus Mukesh, sir. And a rest I will just give.
A list of citations, if given, we can circulate in the groups also, sir. I mean.
Oh, okay. Because I personally feel that that decision requires reconsideration, because he is public prosecutor is the only legally qualified person whom a police officer comes across during his day-to-day work career. And sir, if he cannot consult the public prosecutor, whom else can he consult?
Obviously, sir. So this is the criminal miscellaneous number 2246. Criminal MC number 2246 of 2002. Ultimately, it was decided on 6th of August 2009.
Yes. Is the citation, is it reported?
Sir, it must be reported because I have just downloaded from the nic.in. So
what was the view? What was the
view was? It was. I'm happy to say this was argued by our presently Honorable Judge Mukta Gupta ji, as ma'am was by then she was standing counsel. So what they say, thus it is concluded that magistrate and investigating agency acts in two different spheres. So they have directed you cannot intervene. While after registration of the case, it is for the investigating agency, that is police, to investigate the case in accordance with the provisions contained in the CRPC, which may include taking advice of the public prosecutor or not. The role of magistrate, it starts only after filing of the report under 173 CRPC. Till then, magistrate is neither empowered nor justified in giving direction to the investigating agency to conduct the investigation in a particular manner. Of course, he has other auxiliary power of such a grant of custody, etc., of the accused brought before him, either judicial or to the police, to release him or bail, supply of copy, etc., etc., whether the case is travelled by the him or the court of session. In view of the what the Honorable Judge has said, what I had quoted earlier also, it is for the police, if they feel they are the best person to whom we can have the opinion, so they are free to do. So on that very line, what the Honorable Supreme Court has said, he has quoted the same thing, sir.
Okay.
Sir, so this was ultimately decided, and then recently in one of the matter wherein one of suo motu action has been taken. So court its own motion versus so and so. It is a division bench which was being heard by the then acting Chief Justice of Delhi High Court, who is presently my ladyship is in Jammu and Kashmir. I just forgot name.
Sorry, no problem.
Anyway, so what was the matter? In that very matter, the Honorable Justice was pleased to say, observe it in the one order, in the interim order, because it is still going on, that it was directed unless and until public prosecutor endorses with his signature in the charge sheet, you should not accept the challan. That is charge sheet. That was the direction. So it was again agitated on the next day by the police department, and finally it was on the next date or next date or after one day, then it was decided. Sir, just I will because I have a.
Was it taken up to the Supreme Court?
No, sir. It was not taken to the Supreme Court. It was the same court who has reversed the order and said that this very portion of the order is kept in abeyance. So I will just point it out.
Anyway, we will have to consider a decision of Supreme Court because
obviously
Sarla versus Velu is Supreme Court.
Right, sir. On this very basis, it's that the Honorable Judge was pleased to stay kept in abeyance that very part. So we cannot compare, but suppose if they come, then we can say. Ultimately, it is the justice, it is imparted. Sir, if, as my Lord has just pointed out, if the police will not consult the public prosecutor, whom they would. And they are, what I feel is still being a public prosecutor, or sometimes I have seen many, in one of the matter of Sarjil, which is going on, Sarjil Imam. In that very judgment, earlier there was a provision that Hitendra Mohan Thakur's judgment. In that very judgment, when extension of the period of filing the charge sheet from 90 days to 180 days was in question. So it was Hitendra Mohan Thakur in judgment of the Supreme Court. They have said in that very matter, it was the public prosecutor who had merely just forwarded the application. So the Honorable Supreme Court has said mere forwarding would not suffice the law. They said it is the application. It should be the application of the public prosecutor. Then what the system he has stated that it is the police who will approach the public prosecutor, and public prosecutor will examine the documents, and then they will inform the court that this part of investigation will be conducted and this part is left. And for conducting the remaining investigation, we need certain times. So the 90 days period may kindly be extended up to 180. So that was the judgment. And recently, one of the matter, I don't remember right now, but I can point it out. In that very matter, it was said, if it is applicant is the police, and if it has been forwarded to the public prosecutor, that would also suffice, because forwarding means he has gone through the entire contents of the application, and thereafter, after being satisfied, it is the public prosecutor who has forwarded it. So in that very matter, sir, again, the question was there, then who will represent it? So the lawyer who was representing this very case, he has relied upon the earlier judgment of Hitendra Mohan Thakur that has already been set aside, overruled, I will say. So though the police consulted me, then I had pointed out that very judgment, and of course that has been rejected in even all High Court. So one day when we made the very lawyer, I said, have you not gone through that very judgment? Which is all, sir, I know, but I know okay that the public prosecutor who was there, he was not knowing it. So I'm so sorry to say, such type of thing is, such type of trick is played by the defense counsel, but it is never expected. Even if something is there in favoring the accused also, it would not be trick would be played by the public prosecutor. So role of the public prosecutor, I say, is much higher than any other person. Sir, I don't remember right now. Probably it was a Lord Denning also. Sir might be remembering. So that the judges would not be in position to do justice unless until they are rightly assisted the court. Then some legal maxim, some quote is there, quotation is there. So one of the judge has put this thing just above the chair. if you assist us, we will be in better position to give the impart the justice. So I feel the public prosecutor role is very, very, very crucial. They are the bridge, because it is the police who prepares the case. It is the base which is being built by the police. And if the base is very weak, then further structure will also be very weak. So it is the public prosecutor, as Kishan's by judgment, my lordships has already opined that they should consult the public prosecutor, and if public prosecutor feel certain point is left, by the way of further investigation also, they can get the same rectified. Because it is the society in a criminal system, the victim is the society. Because new term, as earlier, the only power of the appeal was with the state. The private person had no right. But now, after amendment in the CRPC, that 2WA has been now added, that defines the victim. Now 372 says that even the victim can file to the court for if there is a acquittal, or he is not satisfied with the quantum of sentence, then they can go for enhancement of the sentence, and as well as setting aside the acquittal order. So this
not enhancement. It is for where the conviction is for a lesser offense.
Lesser offense, right, sir.
Not enhancement.
Probably enhancement is there also there, sir. If the person,
no.
I'm so sorry. I will correct.
Check up.
Sir.
Straight away check up. 372. Lesser offense. Or for lesser compensation.
Lesser punishment, I believe also.
Punishment, lesser offense. 327. $372. Sit down. 372. Convicting for a lesser offense or imposing inadequate compensation.
Right, sir. I correct myself. Sir, if I am not wrong, sir, we have 377.
Yes.
377 subclause.
That is state. State alone can do. Is it not? 377 state only. Central government or state government.
Right, sir. Thank you very much, sir. It's my wrong impression. So now the victim have also role to play, but ultimately, sir, it is the public prosecutor who has to do, and the proper training, etc. These all things are required to strengthen this very institution. And in criminal trial, like in sessions, they all are very important. And otherwise also, sir, what I have seen in CRPC, the new section has been inserted on 23rd of June 2006. That section is 25A. And it has been implemented with effect from 23rd of June 2006. But sir, to my best of knowledge, it is only one state, that is Goa, where it has been implemented properly. Even in High Court also, the public prosecutor of the regular cadre, he is representing a state over there. Except Goa, at none of the places the same has been implemented. As per this very provision, the appointment of director of prosecution would be done in concurrence with the Honorable Chief Justice of that very state. But don't know what is the reason till date it has not been implemented in other cases also. And in that very cases, even the standing counsel who are working in the High Court, they will be working under the direction, and they will be subordinate to the director of prosecution. And most alarming thing is in this CBI, they have their own prosecutors. NIA, another premier institution, investigating agency, they have their own public prosecutors. And in state also, in many of the estates, even in Bombay, because I have the opportunity to appear before Madras High Court, Bombay High Court, Goa High Court, Delhi High Court, there also, even the public prosecutor who are working in the Sessions Court, they are the privately engaged counsel. They have been given this very power. So the system in Delhi also, because we have the complete cadre, the public prosecutor of the regular cadre, that is the section 24 or 25, the 25 with the assistant public prosecutor, they represent the case in the magisterial court, whereas the additional public prosecutor who gets promoted from the post of the assistant, they only represent their cases in the sessions court only, none else. But in most of the states, most of the, I would use this word, because in Bihar also, because I was just going through it, some of the portion like 20% or 10% have been given the post to the regular cadre. Otherwise, it is the private counsel who are conducting these cases. So the responsibility not as a government servant. I am also a government servant. I can say the government servant, they have. I'm so sorry if it hurts anyone. They have the more responsibility. They feel some sort of devotion or dedication towards the department, and they will not go to us. That is not there, because usually I feel in order to just that is why the Honorable Supreme Court in Shiv Kumar versus Hukam Chand, they said if we allow the private engaged counsel to conduct the prosecution in that situation by hook and crook, they would try to get the matter ended with the convictions. So this is what is expected from them. Thank you. So some questions I would expect sir would enlighten me many things, sir.
Shyam, you can ask for.
Yes, Atul, that was a wonderful and short presentation. And I mean, in fact, the way in which you started off the presentation was good in the sense like it is the public prosecutor who will have to apprise the court that every accused is presumed to be innocent unless proved otherwise. Right. We have a couple of hands coming up. We'll just see the questions that we have. Amit Kaur Rai, please, you can unmute yourself. Amit Kumar Rai.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, please. You can take a question.
No, sir. I don't have questions, sir.
Okay. Nawaz Jan, please.
Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon. It was a wonderful session. First of all, thank you very much for the same, and for having introduced this subject to Justice Ram Kumar sir also. My question is, it is said that the public prosecutor is the friend of the court, and his role is to help the court to come to the truth. Now, in many cases, we have seen that the prosecutor acts upon the instructions or the directions of the investigating officer. Whatever report that the investigating officer submits to the prosecutor to be submitted in the court, he is doing it without any alterations or changes. And on that side, he doesn't have any intellectual independence, practically speaking. Second thing, when in a case the accused is acquitted, when the trial resulted in an acquittal of the accused, the blame of the general public again falls on the prosecutor, saying that he failed to present the case properly, and in fact, the acquittal would have been due to inadequate evidence, which is exclusively the responsibility of the investigating officer. So in such a dilemma, is it not high time that the prosecutor should be given a free hand? Or is it permissible under the present Code of Criminal Procedure to exercise any advice or guidance to the investigating officer by the prosecutor? I hope you have heard, sir.
Yes, practically speaking, you are right. As we have just discussed, the role of the prosecutor usually commences after submissions of the 173 reports. So our role is limited to the court. We are not the officer outside the court. So we have no role to play in the investigation, except when the police comes seeking police remand or police custody, etc., we assist them. So what my own experience I can share with you, in one of the matter wherein one lady had come and wherein she had given some sort of evidence that was at par with a dying declaration. The person has given something in writing prior to his death. So that was not taken by the IO on the file, on the judicial file. So it was me, I would say, sorry to use this word me, it was the prosecution, sir, rather. We had taken this file and we had presented the same thing to court, and court was convinced. And if you go in one of the matter that the case was there of Ponti Chadha murder case. You might have heard that the liquor baron, two brothers had killed each other. In that very judgment, that very case, the police case was, it was of 50 to 60 persons armed with a deadly weapon. They had started firing on the indiscriminate firing on the person, and 1 or 2 persons had died. But the police had charge sheeted only 2 persons for trial of the 302. So it was me before Honorable High Court. I had tried to impress upon the court, okay, sir, it is not the police who has to the final word to say. And it was the revision, and so it was not because I had entered, I had stepped into at a very later stage. So it was not there in the revision petition was there before the Honorable High Court. So it was not even prayed that the other person should be now charged for 149 read with 302. So it was me who had argued. So vehemently it was argued by the defense counsel, it is not your case. Now it is not your case, nor you have asked for in a prayer portion. So how can you plead? So I said it is the ultimately court. The police brings the facts. What law is there that is applicable? It is for us to decide. It is us to the, and Honorable Judge was very much convinced. And finally, all the persons were directed to be charged for 149 read with 302. So it depends upon the person to person, and it is a perception. I would say, okay, obviously the person says it, that again I will say our role and our the infrastructure, the things which under which we work, if it is strengthened, if it is then we will be in better position to say so.
But normally a prosecutor cannot defend the accused. But in certain cases, where the prosecutor is satisfied that this is a fabricated case, the police is deliberately implicating this innocent person into charge, and they might have given the 173 report also, everything. But in such cases, what stand can the prosecutor take? He has to protect the interest of the state, or will he look into the truth? Will he look into the veracity of the charge sheet given? But in any case, he cannot defend the accused. In such cases, what will be the attitude and the stand of the prosecutor?
He can defend the accused. For example, supposing the accused is raising a plea of Section 84, insanity.
Yes, sir.
Section 84 IPC. And if the prosecutor, if the investigating officer had come across material to doubt the sanity of the accused, and like medical certificates, psychiatrist consultation with psychiatrist, etc. And if you he is bound to praise it before the court. He cannot have a unilateral or single. He cannot have a single attitude or unilateral attitude. He has to. He is a fair minister of prosecution of the court or the administrative justice. He has to be. It is a fair trial. Therefore, he has to be
independent, impartial.
Fair not only to the prosecution, but also to the investigating agency, but also to the accused. He has to be fair to the court also. A duty is cast on him to place before the court even material. That is the duty of the investigating officer. Supposing he has failed to do that, prosecutor can do that. Likewise, there are ever so many decisions which say that supposing in a Section 27 recovery, supposing the author, there are materials pointing out the authorship of concealment. Authorship of concealment regarding 27 recovery. Supposing there is material in the statement of the accused itself, but that is not properly elicited by the investigating officer while giving evidence. Prosecutor can intervene and say that no, there is a direct statement showing the authorship of concealment. He has to intervene. Likewise, if the Kerala High Court has taken the view that if the prosecutor fails to do that, the court has to do that in the interest of justice. Likewise, prosecutor's role is not to put away whatever the police gives. That is why your question indicated that even prosecutor has not discarded the police mantle. He should discard the.
When a case has resulted in acquittal, especially some controversial cases, ultimate blame falls upon the prosecutor.
Definitely, definitely.
Yeah.
Maybe it is a pitfall of the investigating officer.
That is true. Exactly. Thank you, sir.
That's why I said that very judgment of Kishan Bhai. I would like to quote one judgment, that is Shiv Kumar versus Hukam Chand, where the role of the public prosecutor has been very deliberated in a nice way. Sir, the said, as pointed to, the role of the public prosecutor is as follows. It is the duty of the public prosecutor to conduct the case for the crown fairly. Obviously, a state, his object should not to obtain the unrighteous conviction, but to represent the crown, to see the justice is vindicated. And in exercising his discretion as to the witness whom he should or should not call, he should bear that in mind. In our opinion, a public prosecutor should not refuse to call or put into witness box for a cross-examination of a truthful witness returned at the calendar as a witness of the crown, merely because the evidence of the such witness might in certain respect be favorable to the defense. What you have said, if the public prosecutor is the opinion that the witness is false witness and is likely to be false testimony, if put to the witness box, he is not bound, in our opinion, to call such witness and tender him for the cross-examination. So his role is very big.
He has that discretion. That discretion he has got that discretion. And his role is not to secure a conviction by hook or crook.
By hook or crook.
Sir, we have our district judge A.S. Ravi posting one thing that is very interesting. Ravi sir, are you there? You can unmute and...
Yes, sir. Yes,
yeah,
sir.
please.
Are you hearing me, sir?
Yeah.
Sir, in our state, sir, an advocate has been appointed as on temporary basis on consolidated pay of rupees 20,000 to each superintendent of police. They will guide the in Tamil Nadu, sir.
I see.
Apart from public prosecutors, there is a separate advisor.
Apart from over and above.
Yes.
Over and above.
Only each district, Lordship. Each district.
He is not given the status of a public prosecutor. Additional public prosecutor.
He is a practicing advocate.
Legal advisor to the...
Yes. Legal advisor to the superintendent of police.
Oh, I see. Legal advisor. Or maybe
recently about
maybe after Sarla versus Velu. After Sarla versus Velu, a lawyer, an advocate might have been appointed for giving legal advice to the investigating officer. Supposing he gives an advice contrary to the view of the public prosecutor. Supposing he gives a legal advice.
Still here also, Lordship, the police officers are getting attestation from the approval from the public prosecutors.
Exactly. So they file only a draft charge, which has to be approved by the public prosecutor. I don't think that in Kerala that practice has been discontinued. It has not been discontinued.
Please, Lordship. Draft charge sheet has to be approved by the deputy director, Lordship. Deputy director of prosecution in each district. Deputy director. Draft charge sheet they have to approve. Yes, Lordship. Deputy director.
Is he a legally qualified person?
Yes, Lordship.
I see.
There is each district there is a separate post.
In our state, Sarla versus Velu is indirectly circumvented in all the vigilance courts. In vigilance courts, the designation is called legal advisor.
In Delhi also there is a legal advisor, but they advises police only.
Actually, he is the public prosecutor. No, sir, he is the public prosecutor, but Crescent has legal advisor, assistant legal advisor to the state.
But they don't go to the court.
And Sarla versus Velu is not being applied to him. And the police officers take his advice.
But they are not supposed to enter in the court and conduct the case. Their role will be only to advise there.
Whose role?
So the ALA, the legal...
No. Here in all vigilance courts, the ALA is conducting the prosecution.
Oh.
He is not called prosecutor. He is not called the prosecutor.
For practical purposes, they are the public prosecutors. They are the prosecutors, but called as a legal advisor.
So that Sarla versus Velu will not apply to them. So they can give legal advice, legal opinion. They can conduct the prosecution. All those things. That is what is happening. Pardon?
Private advocates, Lordship. Private advocates, Lordship.
No. He is the government appointed by the government as assistant legal advisor.
It's a
He is the
permanent post.
prosecutor. So to
Here-
every
here,
court,
Lordship.
every vigilance court, he conducts the prosecution.
Here, Lordship, additional director of prosecution. They are conducting vigilance cases in
You
and also
call-
CJM court also.
That is why the prosecutor is given a different name. That's all. Is it not?
Yes, Lord. Senior prosecutors. Senior
All right.
prosecutors in the district.
And are they not giving legal opinion?
No, Lordship.
They are not. Okay. Then.
No,
Here,
only
here that
conducting
is
cases.
not. In our vigilance court, the draft charge is approved by the ALA.
Oh, yes.
ALA himself conducts the prosecution.
Here, Lordship, we are not insisting any approval from the prosecutors,
I see.
but they are approaching them. Courts are not insisting.
I see. Anyway, that I have my own reservations about that decision, because he is the only legally qualified person whom a police officer can approach for legal opinion. For opinion, if he cannot consult him, and if you say that his role is only inside the court, not outside. Outside also, he is a lawyer. He is an advocate. Is it not?
Sir, we have
Yes.
Shanti with the hands up. Shanti, KP, can you just unmute and put the question? Shanti, are you there? Yeah, go ahead.
When the final report is not charged in the, is not filed in the court, what is the role of the public prosecutor, or is it a condition favorable to the accused? Am I
Definitely.
audible, sir?
Yes, if it is within, if it not within the period prescribed by section 167(2) CRPC, then the accused is entitled to default bail.
Pardon, sir?
Depending upon the punishment prescribed for the offense, it can be either 60 days or 90 days. And if it is a case of 60 days and the investigating officer does not file the charge sheet within 60 days, out he goes. He has a right of compulsive bail, indefensive right of bail, indefeasible right of bail under section 167(2) proviso. That is the penalty the investigating officer pays for not filing the charge sheet within time. But he may also have many constraints in not filing the charge sheet. For example, he might the chemical report might not be available. But there are decisions which say that even without waiting for the chemical report, he can file the charge sheet.
That is even unexplained delay, even after 1.5 years. So what is the what can the public prosecutor do, or what can defense counsel do?
Nothing. Public defense counsel, it is to his advantage.
You can go for default bail.
Default bail. Public prosecutor can only hasten the investigating officer. Why are you delaying the charge sheet? Are you indirectly helping the accused? All these things he can ask the investigating officer.
Maybe she's asking, is there any reporting mechanism if the investigating officer is delaying the final?
Public prosecutor can report to the district magistrate.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Or to the DGP, or if there is a director of prosecution, that he can report to the director of prosecution. Here is a police officer who is deliberately delaying the filing of the final report to the advantage of the accused. He can say, he can complain.
Sir, we have Praveen Kumar with a question. Praveen, please.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Sir, my one question is, can victim advocate apply for cancellation of anticipatory bail before Honorable High Court in matrimonial cases? And apart from that, second is, can private counsel participate in proceeding before JMIC from victim side?
Yes, Mr. Srivastava, the question is directed to you.
Okay. So obviously, law is very clear. The victim's lawyer can go to the higher court for cancellation of bail. There is no doubt. But so far, in regard to the this very
even a member of the public, even a member of the public can seek cancellation of the bail.
Cancellation of bail. So far the victims conducting the case in Sessions Court is concerned, I would read the very judgment, that is also a recent judgment, I will just write now. This is paragraph 19. Though the victim has a right, one cannot forget that a victim who may have suffered may also seek revenge. Therefore, an obligation has been cast upon a state to prosecute the accused. In fact, even now, a trial under CRPC has to be conducted by the public prosecutor or assistant public prosecutor. No private lawyer can be engaged to conduct the trial under 3012 of the CRPC. A private person, including the victim, can only instruct a pleader to act on his behalf in the court, but prosecution has to be conducted either by the public prosecutor or assistant public prosecutor. And a pleader engaged by the private person can only act as per direction of the public prosecutor or assistant public prosecutor. The reason behind is this, that the victim may fabricate evidence or hide true facts, whereas the public prosecutor, assistant public prosecutor is expected to be fair to court and to the accused. This is the judgment dated 12th of October 2018 in judgment of, the title is Mallikarjun Kodagali, dead represented through legal representative versus State of Karnataka.
What is the citation?
The citation, sorry sir, again I will say, this is criminal appeal number 1281-82 of 2018, sir.
Can you just repeat that nominal index once more?
Sir, this is Mallikarjun Kodagali, dead.
Kodagali. That is from which court? Supreme Court.
Supreme Court, sir. Again, this is Supreme Court. So what the sir just has put this question. So this is what is expected at till date from the public prosecutor. Okay, because they can fabricate. There is always chances of revenge. So what my experience is there, if we allow a witness to say something, so in 161 she has not stated certain that, or in 164 she has not stated, but particularly in a matrimonial issues or some sort of relations are there, then they they keep on going many things which ultimately accused gets benefit, because we have the adversarial system. So adversarial system, every person is presumed to be, accused is presumed to be innocent. So what I suggest the person sometimes, sir, I'm so sorry to say, my lord, when I suggest the person, don't add all the add-on, then say, sir, aap mujhe bolne nahi dete. Why you are not permitting me to say? So I say, if we are going to say all these things, then it will be in benefit of the person, because obviously the person will take the, as per 145, etc., they will confirm you have not stated so, and they will put all this into the IO would say, he has not stated so. And in a 164, whatever she has stated or he has stated, they keep on going beyond all these things. So I suggest that
for the benefit of all, I may read the definition of public prosecutor in section 2U. Public prosecutor means any person appointed under section 24 and includes any person acting under the directions of a public prosecutor. Therefore, if a private person is engaged and if he is acting under the directions of the public prosecutor, that person can only play second fiddle.
On a driving seat, always the public prosecutor will be.
So that is directions of a public prosecutor. It's not an independent engagement. It has to be the public prosecutor.
But Justice Subramaniam Bhoti has compared it to a junior conducting the case of his senior.
Correct. You cannot ask the junior whether you have a wakalat, because under instructions from the senior counsel, you can conduct the case.
He is conducting the case. Therefore, whatever the senior does, the junior can do. What Justice Subramaniam Bhoti had taken way back in 1978. But here, any person acting under the directions of the public prosecutor. Therefore, if a party victim engages a private lawyer, that lawyer also can only act under the directions of the public prosecutor. That is why Kerala High Court, speaking through Justice M.M. Parith Pillai, has taken the view that that person can only play second fiddle. That was the word, the usage, phraseology used by his lordship.
Sir, in CPC also, section 215, pleader. Pleader
Yes.
means any person entitled to appear and plead for another in court and includes an advocate, a vakil, and attorney of a high court.
Yes.
Then there is one more wherein it is said that under instructions.
Yes.
In the meanwhile, we'll ask Shanti to put the question. Shanti has 1 second. I'll just unmute.
Thank you so much, sir.
Yes, Praveen, thank you.
What happened to Ramushan, Mr. Justice
I
Ramushan?
think his sitting would be continuing. He has not joined even now.
Oh.
Maybe his court is still functioning.
Okay.
So we have another question coming up from one hand has been put by. One second. Nitin has put the hand up. Nitin, please, you can unmute and put the question. Shanti has already asked the question.
Thank you, Shyam sir. Namaskar, sir. I've got the question regarding the duties of the public prosecutor. I mean, I got two questions in that sense. Number one is that, sir, most of the times what we see is that so many charge sheets are filed before the magistrate court. And then can public prosecutors segregate with the help of police that these are petty offences, so that let us call the complainant and we'll ask whether they want to settle the matter or what they want to do, since it's a petty offences, because more weightage given to the heinous offence, what I feel, because some being very, very petty offences, just it has been leveled as a criminal offence. So can it be done that we call the complainant and we ask them beforehand only that what you want to do with this weekend, that these heinous crimes, these are the very petty offences. Likewise, can it be as a duty or is it like a duty? And number two is that most of the times we find that charge sheet is not proper, investigation is not done properly. And then can the public prosecutor ask the court through oral application or through written application that it must be go back to the investigating officer, let him re-investigate and let him proper charge sheet, which is rather prima facie evident that there are chances and accused has made out. I mean, if he comes to that conclusion, because most of the times a failure, certain things are not on record, that gives a more benefit to the accused. So these are my questions. This is one that I ask later. Okay. First, these two questions. Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Atul.
You will let
Ram
unmute
Kumar
your-
sir, it is for you also.
Me? I am not the speaker
Yeah,
today.
to you, sir, also. I mean, yeah.
Nothing wrong if they what is disclosed is only a petty offence. Nothing wrong in the prosecutor advising that for petty offence, why should he be subjected to the ordeal of a trial? Let the matter be treated as a petty offence. He can even plead guilty through boast. Summary trial procedure can be resorted to. That certainly prosecutor can advise. And secondly, if the charge sheet, if the investigating officer's role he has not played properly, and there are so lot of loopholes, the prosecutor can say that the charge sheet is incomplete. He can return the charge sheet for proper investigation. Or if the charge sheet has already been filed, then he can request the court to order further investigation to clarify the grey areas, etc. Court can now, in the recent three-judge ruling, Vinubai Justice Rohinton Nariman judgment, His Lordship has taken the view that further investigation under 173(8) can be ordered even after the cognizance. It can be ordered even till the commencement of trial. Can be ordered. That the three-judge bench has taken Vinubai's case. Therefore, nothing wrong in the court ordering, and court also can do. In fact, in Hemant Dushmana versus state, the Supreme Court had already taken the view that when the court is ordering further investigation, the power to conduct further investigation lies only in 173(8), which is actually the prerogative of the police. But when the court is ordering further investigation, court is only triggering into motion the power of the police. Therefore, court is only directing the police, you conduct further investigation. There's a grey area. These things have to be clarified. You conduct further investigation. So court is only triggering into motion the power of the police under 173(8). Hemant Dushmana versus State of State by Justice K.T. Thomas.
Sir, my Ram Kumar sir, my one more question is that
unfortunately, I am not the speaker for today. I am not the speaker for today.
Justice delayed is justice denied.
And justice hurried is justice buried also.
Yeah. So, sir, what I feel is most of the times, we the people, when we know that we have so many rights and all that, so for a petty offenses also we are going and filing the
Exactly.
FIRs, and then we are making the courts more overburdened. So, can
Exactly.
there be public awareness by the government to the prosecutor telling the people if the people will come and be so dishonest, they are not paying 138 negotiable instrument act cases. All these small offenses are coming. So can we make such kind of awareness through the public prosecutor so that the public
No, you cannot.
would
You cannot.
understand that where
You cannot.
weightage, why?
No, you cannot involve him for such activities without the consent or the concurrence of the government. He is a government servant. Therefore, you cannot do that unless the government or the High Court permits that. High Court, of course, there should be a good, a very effective directorate or academy, judicial academy for every state. Kerala, fortunately, we have got a good judicial academy. Likewise, Delhi also. Dr. Kaul was one of the directors there for 4 years. So one of the best directors I have ever seen. So the Delhi Judicial Academy should be imparting training not only to judicial officers but also to lawyers. I don't know whether it is imparting training to lawyers. Kerala Judicial Academy has been imparting training to lawyers also, advocates also.
Nitin, okay. Nima, would you like to comment?
Yeah, so I would just like to, give up a sum up of what Sir was saying. My experience is working with, Delhi prosecution. See, first of all, I'm being posted in Mahila Court. So what I felt personally is the gap between the prosecutor and the victim. So as Atul sir was correctly pointing out, I see the victim in the witness box. So I really don't know really what the story is. I'm just being, as there is, you have the documents, the charge sheet. So what happens is nowadays the trend is the victim is coming with a counsel, private counsel, because when it's a matrimonial issue, there'll be a number of cases along, like DV, family code. So they would have engaged, and 498 also is like that. So I personal experience I'm telling, when I sit in the trial, I'll have to tell the victim कि मैं आपके तरफ से हूँ, I'm for you, I'm your counsel. Even then the victim is like little skeptical, suspected. नहीं मेरा वकील साहब आने दो, तभी मैं शुरू करेंगी chief examination. So this is the situation, So what I felt personally is, the disconnect is so wide. Though we are representing the state, especially but when it comes to Mahila Court, victims are very sensitive, and I think there has to be some sort of a relationship built, or there should be some sort of a connect that has to build. And as Sir said, the infrastructure is a challenge. The police comes, we'll have to really make a timings has to be given slot. So that is a problem. So that's what I was like thinking ki, once the entire institution has to work, there has to be a mechanism wherein these sort of glitches has to be sorted. So only then our purpose of delivering justice can be given. So as said by Atul sir, there is a need of overall mechanism to be done to make this institution strengthened, rather than just giving us powers like just doing trial and scrutinizing charge sheets. That's what my take is.
Thank you, Nima. We have Abdul Qadir sir with a question. Can you just unmute and put the question? He has posted a question. Are you there?
Is it there in the chat box?
Yes, my question is, there is a news today that the public prosecutor of NIA is participating in questioning the suspect. Is it possible?
There's no even-handed justice. If the suspect is not represented by a lawyer, or he is not taking the service of a lawyer, how can the prosecutor represent the police while questioning the? And there Sarla versus Velu should apply. His role is inside the court, not outside the court.
Absolutely correct, sir. We have Amit Agarwal with a question. Amit, can you just unmute and put the question?
Yeah, thank you so much, sir. Am I audible, sir?
Yes.
Very much, very much.
Yeah, thank you so much, sir. I'd like to ask a question pertaining to 2018 Criminal Law Amendment Act. If we refer the mandate of Section 173, that talks about the submission of final report by the police officer to the concerned magistrate for the purpose of taking cognizance. So there is an amendment that says that, like, in respect of offences pertaining under various provision of Section 376 A, B, C, D, the investigation may be completed within 2 months. So my question to all of you, like, what if the investigation does not complete within the period prescribed under the relevant provision of law? Though we know that, like, we have the mandate of Section 167 that, authorizes the accused to claim a default bail. But apart from that, like, when there is a proper amendment brought, and investigation does not, complete within the statutorily fixed period. So is there any, any mechanism to, look into this? That's very important thing, particularly in the context of, Article 21 of the Constitution of India, that, when we talk about speedy trial, so to a large extent, when we refer to speedy trial, it is dependent upon, investigation, speedy investigation. Unless and until your investigation is not completed, then how can you go into trial? And apart from that, when we refer to the 41st report of the Law Commission of India, like, it was one of the objects that the Law Commission has noted, and perhaps this is for, we have the changes brought under the 1973 Act that were not there in the 1898 Act. So keeping in view all the things, like, my question to is that, like, can we fix a particular time period for the completion of the investigation, right? And like, if we fixed up the time period, like, what is the meaning of the expression may? Like, it suggests that the legislature is acting in a dual manner. Like, at the same time, the legislature is saying that, no, you should complete in 2 months, then again may. So what does exactly mean? Thank you, sir.
Good question. Good question. See, as you rightly said, subsection 1A to section 173 inserted by the 2000, it is not 2018.
No, sir, there was amendment before, like, in 2009, there was an amendment with reference to,
yes.
But this was replaced by 2018, that in the context of 376, with 376.
All right. Yeah. And it say mandatorily say it shall be completed within 2 months. As you rightly doubted, the consequence of not completing the investigation within 2 months is not mentioned there. And you don't have a corresponding amendment to section 167(2), wherein if investigation of these offences is not completed within 2 months, there is any right of default bail given to the accused. It's a good question. Good question. They should be addressed by the legislature. There is no point in saying that you shall complete the investigation within 2 months. But if you don't complete the investigation, what should be the consequence? It's not mentioned there. Good question.
Thank you, sir.
So we have Venki with a question.
Sir, good evening, sir. Thanks for all of you because you are doing a great initiation. I am learning by regular participation. Sir, one interesting question, sir. This is in one matter, in the session court, accused was discharged. Thereafter, the victim filed a revision petition. The sentence was enhanced, sir, actually. After enhancement, the court found that...
The accused was discharged, where there was no sentence?
No, actually, he was not sentenced, sir. Discharged, he was not discharged. Instead of sentencing him imprisonment, they fined him, sir, actually.
Okay.
Given the fine.
Lesser punishment.
Lesser punishment as a fine.
Was it a lesser offense? Conviction for a lesser offense?
Sir, under section 447, 341, 294B, under this section, sir. Yes, sir. Fine or a lesser amount. 3 years or fine, sir. Like that, sir.
But your offense, the section of offense was not changed.
No, sir, no section of offence was
Okay,
not changed.
okay.
So the issue is that the while in the revision petition, the High Court told the trial court has not stated any reason as to why the accused have not been imposed with any imprisonment. Whereas this court finds that the respondent so and so under so and so section record shows that they have committed
354.
offences
See,
intentionally.
354(4), section 354.
No, sir, 447, 347. Sorry,
No,
341,
no.
294.
I am referring to CRPC. Section 354, 4 says. I'm sorry. 354(4). When the conviction is for an offence punishable with imprisonment for a term of 1 year or more, but the court imposes a sentence of imprisonment for a term less than 3 months, it shall record its reasons for awarding such sentence, unless the sentence is one of imprisonment till rising of court, or unless the case was tried summarily under the provisions of this code. Therefore, if the offence is punishable with imprisonment for 1 year or more, and if what has been imposed is a sentence of imprisonment for a term less than 3 months, court has to give reasons. Otherwise, it cannot. That is a mandate of the section 354(4).
Okay, sir. In this, what the court is, the imprisoned him for 3 years, sir. So that is very interesting because there is no reason stated. So the imprisoned, sir. Very interestingly, sir, you in the revision petition, 2 accused were served the notice, sir. Though they served notice, they received it. There is a postal proof for it, but they did not appear, sir. Now, in the very interesting thing is they approached the Supreme Court through SLP. They filed a SLP and got bail, sir. Very interesting, sir. Bail by giving a false affidavit that they have not received any notice from the High Court in the revision matter.
Okay.
This is very interesting, sir. Actually, by giving a wrong information, they got a bail. Then the court also in the Supreme Court, the petitioner released on bail subject to the terms and conditions imposed by the trial court.
That should be brought to the notice of the Supreme Court that they obtained this order by playing fraud on the Supreme Court. They have any vast powers. Supreme Court has got vast powers.
Yes, sir. But another interesting subsequent event, what happened after coming out from the court, from the jail, he has started doing the same thing again and again. Similar offense, sir, where the police are not fighting. So in this case, shall we cancel his bail? That is one thing, sir. Coming
Definitely.
out of the jail.
See, any member of the public can seek cancellation of the bail. Supreme Court has held so. Any member of the public concerned in the matter can seek cancellation of bail. Definitely.
Okay, sir. These are the 2 things, sir. One is he has given a wrong affidavit, and another thing is he is committing the same offense again and again in the bail during the course of the bail, actually.
And the bail,
These
one
are
of the
the
bail
2 things,
conditions, and is one of the bail conditions that he shall not commit any offence while on bail. Is there such an offense, such a condition?
No, sir, there is no such condition. Actually, what they told is the petitioner released on bail, subject to the terms and conditions to be imposed by the trial court. So then the trial court should have given the condition, no, sir, if I am correct.
Then, if
this is the case, actually.
If such a condition has not been imposed by the trial court, of course, even then, courts have to, because cancellation of bail, CRPC does not enumerate the grounds for cancellation. We have only the judge-made law. So, one of the conditions imposed by the Supreme Court is that if he goes on committing crimes, then that can be a ground for cancelling his bail. Only thing is, any member of the public can seek cancellation of the bail, not only the victim, but also the state as well as any member of the public concerned in the matter. Therefore,
okay, sir. So for cancellation, then we have to move before Supreme Court, not before the trial court, since the trial court has been subjected to give under condition.
No, which court granted bail?
Supreme Court granted. Actually, the Supreme Court moved the application for bail. They told that petitioner released on bail subject to the terms and conditions to be imposed by the trial court.
Okay,
so this is the confusion whether who has given the bail. They have given the permission to grant bail.
Then 2006 Supreme Court, AR 2006, Supreme Court, page 100. Page 100. Supreme Court has said that if the Superior Court has granted bail, with the liberty to the lower court to take action in the event of, because if the bail conditions have been imposed by the lower court, then that lower court can cancel the bail. The party need not approach the Supreme Court, because Supreme Court's order itself says these conditions shall be imposed by the lower court, and any violation it shall be treated as if the conditions were imposed by the lower court. Then the lower court can cancel the bail. The party need not approach the superior court.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Because these are some
2006 Supreme Court Volume 100. AR 2006 Supreme Court Volume 100.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
So we have Premnath Prabhakaran with a question. Sir, please.
Sir, as far as the appointment and condition of services of prosecutors are concerned, it is different from each state to state. As far as in Kerala is concerned, only prosecutors are in government service, only limited to assistant public prosecutor and deputy director of prosecution. Additional PP and PPs are appointed by the concerned government. It's a tenure appointment. But as far as Delhi is concerned, Karnataka is concerned, it is a APP to PP. And Hyderabad, it is 50-50. Hyderabad and Telangana,
I see.
it is 50% from APP, 50% APP sir will be a promoter as additional PP. And direct additional PP.
APPs in Kerala had been petitioning the government from time immemorial after the Supreme Court judgment. But no, because they will lose their power to appoint prosecutors. Government will not accede to this prayer because they will lose their chance to appoint persons. And with every appointment, you know, having, you know the reason.
Sir, my question is to Adilji, don't you think that the entire India should have a common pool of appointment or a common practice of appointment?
It was with that object in view that section 25A, which was referred to by Mr. Atul, it was incorporated. But unfortunately, this being a state subject, states are not following that.
It is a concurrent list, sir. It is concurrent.
Exactly.
Right, sir.
Therefore,
list. Item number 1, CRPC is item number 2.
Therefore, states are not bound by this.
Right. So
they will have their own rules.
There should be, like All India Judicial Services, it has not been amended till now. So
exactly.
All India Prosecution Services.
Sir, we'll take a last question from Hari Bhatia. Hari Bhatia, please unmute and take a question.
Yes, sir. I'm an advocate from Thane. Can you hear me?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Mumbai, Maharashtra.
Thane, in the next to the Mulund station.
Maharashtra, okay.
Maharashtra, right, sir. Legal practice for pretty long time, but now I'm retired. I have served as an APP at the district level for about 15 years in the Sessions Court at Thane.
Okay.
Now, as far as the appointment is concerned, that ought to be the role of the PPs and the independent role. For example,
see, how did you function as a prosecutor in a session court if you are appointed as APP only?
Yes, additional public prosecutor.
Oh, additional public prosecutor. Okay.
Though
not assistant.
I also worked for 6 months as the in charge DGP, in charge PP, the head. So
okay.
That is not a cadre post. Here, it is not a cadre post. Unfortunately, now we have the dual system over here.
Yes.
Now, one is the cadre post, other is the directly appointed by the under section 24
yes.
by the Land Judiciary Department.
Co-terminus with the ministry in power.
Yes, sir.
That will be co-terminus with the ministry in power.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. No, not with the ministry. Even prior to that also.
Oh.
We are totally at the government. Or it has become more or less a political appointment.
Exactly. That's what I said. Co-terminus with the ministry in power.
And because of that, standard of prosecution is reduced so much, sir. Better not said anything about that, sir.
Exactly. Less said, the better.
Can be better, sir. Now,
You're right.
I am this way. One of the queries which was put by the role of a prosecutor, whether he
Yes.
can be also. So sorry if I am going into some this.
Not at all.
Instead of putting the questions, I am going in some discussion.
Today you are justified. You can.
So I felt if it was a discussion, I would have been more benefited, sir.
Yes.
Because I worked for the nearly 15.5 years as a prosecutor.
Okay.
Now, one of the queries was put, the first question which was put.
Yes.
Whether the prosecutor can act for the accused also, sir.
He cannot act for the accused, but he has to be fair to both sides. He has to be fair. He has to be for and he has to.
Then question put to us whether he can do it.
He cannot
be fair with the accused also, as you rightly say.
He cannot appear for the accused, but he has to be fair to the accused also.
He can't appear. That is the.
He can't.
No, but in a case, now says the question depending upon the dying declaration.
Yes.
Initially, some dying declaration is given. More of this in the 498 cases. Lady says that she received the burn injuries accidentally.
Okay.
And it is tried to be shown by the police machinery, investigating agency, that it was the case of the murder or something else. Now there is on the record the first dying declaration, which is tried to be concealed because it is no mention of that in the charge sheet. But the prosecutor comes across that and he produces that, because there will be a fair role to be held up to the accused also. He can't conceal that because the police has tried to.
He has to be fair. Prosecutor has to be fair to the accused also. Yes.
Fair also, no? because one innocent person, he should not be hanged unnecessarily.
Exactly.
So,
you're right. Absolutely right.
That is a very important evidence, part of the evidence.
Yes.
So that is there. Now here, what has happened, sir? Yes,
Yes.
sir.
Yes.
So
Likewise, I told you about an insanity case. The accused, the defense of the accused is insane. He was entitled to the benefit of Section 84 of the Indian Penal Code. The prosecutor comes across in the police record some prescriptions by a medical practitioner, a psychiatrist, where the accused had consulted a psychiatrist. But for reasons best known to him, he has refrained from producing those records before the court. Therefore, that record, if produced, will fortify the contention of the defense that he was having mental illness and he was taking treatment from a psychiatrist. So there the prosecutor, even courts have taken the view, even Supreme Court, that even the investigating officer should not keep that document away from the court. And if the prosecutor comes across such a document, he also should have, has a duty to produce it before the court. He has to be fair not only to the state but also to the defense. Yes.
His role is independent, just like a judge. He is not interested in any result.
Exactly.
He bare facts, what on record before the court. Let the court take the decision, sir. So that ought to be his role. That should be. Now that apart, sir, I have some queries, sir.
Yes.
Whether now that you first mentioned, Your Honor mentioned initially S.B. Shahne's case, Supreme Court judgment of S.B. Shahne.
Yes.
Now they should not be under the control of the police department.
Police. Yes.
Now what has happened? Now Section 25A amendment is.
Yes.
Director of prosecution is appointed.
Yes.
Now if one goes through that, the director of prosecution is appointed by the Home Ministry.
Yes.
Not by the Law and Judiciary Department. Now all the prosecutors, even the public prosecutor at the high level, he has to be under the supervision of control of the director of prosecution. Now they have from time to time what are their functions, that is a different aspect of the matter, sir. So we say that at the district level, we have deputy director of prosecution.
Yes.
Then there was the assistant director of prosecution. Now in the public is appointed by the Law and Judiciary Department at the district level. Still, he is under the control of the Director of Prosecution. He has to act as per or directions given by him. That's very Indian culture shows that he is the director. Now, can we say that purpose of what the Supreme Court said in the SB case, that it should be separate from the police machinery, role of the prosecutor should be separate from the police machinery, whether that objective is being fulfilled by virtue of appointment of the director.
But if you closely follow the decisions of Supreme Court, they are not prepared. They are not prepared to exclude the ministers from being chairman of committees, etc. See, therefore, when a minister becomes the chairman of a committee for the constitution of such directorate of prosecution, etc., definitely politics will enter. Politics will enter. Unfortunately, courts are not prepared to exclude them from such ministers, such arrangements, unfortunately. But that is how, in fact, even in a committee to be constituted, the Supreme Court said that the Home Minister shall be the chairman, can be the chairman. So if the Home Minister is the chairman, what justice can you expect in the case of prosecutions?
Yeah, right, sir. Therefore, there is a question in my mind that what was desired, that object is not achieved by that.
You are absolutely right. You are absolutely right.
Now, other question will be conduct of the prosecution at the sessions level.
Yes.
Invariably, it has to be by the public prosecutor only.
Exactly.
What will be the position if it is a private case? Private case, whether it must be conducted by the prosecutor or advocate appointed by the complainant to conduct his case.
Yes.
Now, we have two conflicting judgments, if I am mistaken not.
Yes.
One is A.R. Antule's case, sir.
Okay. Constitution bench.
Constitution bench. A.R. Antule's case.
Yes.
The Chief Minister of Maharashtra, who has been prosecuted under the provisions of the Prevention of Corruption Act.
Yes.
So one complaint was being prosecuted by party. But it may be political. We are not concerned with that, sir.
Yes.
So Mr. Ram Jethmalani, he was appearing for the complainant. But that matter was before the Supreme Court. One of the questions raised was whether this prosecution should be conducted by a public prosecutor appointed by the government or by a private advocate appointed by the complainant.
Yes.
There the Supreme Court said that advocate by the complainant, he will act as a prosecutor. So that was, if I'm not wrong, that was the judgment by the Supreme Court. Now I come across another judgment, that is Rosie versus State of Kerala.
Yes.
That is reported in 2000, Volume 2, Supreme Court Cases.
Yes.
Page 230.
Yes.
Rosie and another versus State of.
Yes.
Where the Supreme Court says a public prosecutor alone can conduct prosecution whether the case was instituted police report or on complaint.
Yes.
How to reconcile this both? I am just putting query to your honor, sir.
See, you show me the man, I will show you the rule. Ultimately, it boils down to that only. It boils down to that only. As Shyam used to say, you should not only know the government, but also should know the law minister. Or appointment.
Sir, what we'll do is that you should not only know law, but also the law minister. Sir, we have one more hand coming up. I think that was by Krishnapal Singh. Okay, that's also. No further questions. Okay. So I think, sir, with that, we can come to the close of our 95th session. If anybody has got any further questions to be put, I don't think anybody has put any questions. Yeah. Fine. Atul sir, you have any comments to be made? I don't know why you are keeping yourself mute altogether. Like, I mean, you can unmute yourself.
Now unmuted.
Yeah.
Sir, one question was there. Who would be conducting the case? Sir, law laid down by the Supreme Court is always binding on us. But if the act itself is clear, the commentary on 141 is very clear, sir. 225 of the CRPC is very, very clear that before the Sessions Court, it is the only public prosecutor who would conduct the case. Am I right, sir?
Exactly.
Sir, then another question was there that if some public prosecutor or IO or has concealed something, then you might have you must have come, sir, sorry, sir. And Nitya Dharmananda alias K. Lelin and others versus Sri Gopal Shelam Reddy, also known as Nitya Bhaktananda and others. This judgment is a very short judgment of 7th of December 2017, wherein some of the documents...
Which court?
The Supreme Court, sir.
Yes.
So in this very judgment, as we all know, earlier there was a judgment of a state of Odisha versus Devendranath Padi that says at the stage of framing of charge, the defense cannot use any document and he cannot bring any document. That was the Satish Mehra's judgment that was overruled. By the
overruled, and 3 judges bench said the state of Odisha versus Devendranath Padi.
Padi, sir. P-A-D-H-Y, sir. So this has been now again, Supreme Court has revisited it, and that says if in the eyes of the court, if it finds this has the strong bearing on the case, then court can permit it at the stage of charge itself. So what one of the question has been put by one of the person, one dying declaration, which completely contrary to the police has withheld it. Then the court can direct it. So the language is very, very clear. The trial court now, sir, it is clear that
this is how many judges?
Sir, it is 2 judges only.
How can 2 judges hold against the 3 judges?
No, sir, they have not overruled, but what they have stated it, sir, thus it is clear while ordinarily the court has to proceed on the basis of the material produced on the charge sheet for the dealing with the issue of the charge. But if the court is satisfied, I'm sorry for repetition, if the court is satisfied that there is a material of sterling quality which has been...
in fact, that was considered a material of a sterling quality. Whatever, even if it is a material of sterling quality, if it is produced by the defense and it cannot look into it. So that is the 3 judges bench ruling.
Right, sir. So that's
how can 2 judges? But of course, even after Devendranath Padi, Supreme Court used to entertain documents from the side of the accused sitting in 482.
Sir, that is
Supreme Court said in 482 jurisdiction arising from the very same trial court. Arising from the very same trial court, Supreme Court has said that in 482 petition, High Court can look into documents produced by the accused, but not the trial court. Trial court can look into the documents produced by the prosecution only. When 3 judges bench decision is that, how can a 2 judges bench say that trial court can look into other documents produced by the accused? Cannot.
Sir, again, there is this one question was there in regard to the 173 1A that says the charge sheet shall be filed. The mandate is there. Then again there is a amendment in 309 also that says trial has to be concluded. Shall be concluded in another 2 months from the date of filing of the charge sheet. And here the case says from the date of registration of the FIR, charge sheet has to be filed within so and so. So now what is happening here in Delhi also, what my lord has just clarified, we file the charge sheet and we keep on continuing with the further investigation. But it has no bearing on the 167. So there is a judgment of the Dinesh Dalmia versus CBI that says even incomplete charge sheet is there, then that cannot entail a person for the default bail, sir.
Yes.
Sir, earlier also, I remember 2 or 3 very important judgments. One judgment was there, Common Cause versus Union of India, wherein before charge, if the charge has not been framed within 2 years from the date of filing of the charge sheet, then the person used to be discharged.
That is overruled.
The P. Ramchandra Rao, sir. There was the judgment was the Rajdev Sharma versus State of Bihar, and then it was 5 judges bench or 7 judges P. Ramchandra Rao. So the logic behind the P. Ramchandra Rao, the what the Honorable Supreme Court beautifully categorizes, in trial or the criminal case cannot be conducted like a mathematical formula 2 + 2 = 4. So right now this has been done. But usually, sir, in order to get a person proclaimed offender, we need at least 45 days, because first of all, we'll have to take the NBW, then sir, compulsory 30 days time for declaring him the.
But see the beauty of the CRPC. Section 57 says investigation shall be completed within 24 hours.
Right, sir. Right.
That has been given an extended period up to 60 or 90, depending on the punishment under 167.
Sir, of course, sir, because 67 is a 167 is a exception.
Outer limit.
Right, outer limit, sir.
All right. So you will wind up, Mr. Sham?
Yes, sir. That brings us to the end of the 95th session. Again, we are thankful for Nima Noor for suggesting the speaker for the day, Atul Srivastava, who made a very good attempt in dealing with the plight of the current scenario regarding public prosecutors and also regarding what the role of a public prosecutor ought to be. And a special thanks to Ramkumar sir for dealing with the doubts that has been expressed and masterly dealing with the subject today as well. And tomorrow, in the 96th session, we have Mr. Vishal Gogne, who is the additional district and session judge and additional director of Delhi Judicial Academy. He'll be dealing with the subject right to privacy, perspectives from Indian and US laws. So till we meet again tomorrow, thank you all for being part of this journey, and let us hope that we will have a very enlightening and entertaining session tomorrow. Till then, please do take care and stay safe. Thank you,
sir. Shyam sir, can you permit me 1 minute, sir?
Why not? Always.
Sir, I'm so sorry. Now I'm not a speaker. I have a question to Honorable Justice Ramkumar sir. Sir, the question is in recent past, in the December 2019, there is a lot of changes in the Arms Act, sir. So now the Arms Act says if a person tries to snatch the pistol of the police corps, has snatched the pistol of a police corps by using force, then the minimum sentence would be 10 years and maximum sentence would be life. Then if a person uses 27, that use of weapon is now 3 categories. If the person has used the prohibited arms and killed some person, then it is life or death. But still it is magisterial trial, sir. And magistrate, as per 28 of the CRPC, has the power only to impose 3 years punishment.
Oh.
So minimum sentence is 10 years, maximum is life. But
no, then going by part 2 of first schedule,
so
it has to be session court.
No, sir. Then it is the 325. The magistrate can refer the matter to the CMM. So
No, who decides that the offence should be tried by the magistrate? CRPC.
Sir.
CRPC first schedule, sir. Part 1 deals with IPC offences.
Sir.
Part 2 deals with offences under other laws.
Sir.
So this is an offence under other law.
Sir.
Therefore, if the offence is punishable with more than 7 years, then the session court. It is the session court which has to try the offence.
Otherwise, also like 467, the life imprisonment is provided. So if the magistrate finds that life imprisonment should be awarded, so what he can do is just he can refer the matter to the magistrate, CMM.
325, CJM.
Thereafter, there is no such provision, sir. Okay, what will be done if he feels that he should be awarded more than 7 years, because he has a limitation of 7 years.
You mean CJM?
CJM.
There cannot be a double reference.
There cannot be reference. So
there cannot be a double reference.
So there should be some I would say some legislation should be there.
For example, 326. 326 is
life imprisonment.
Up to life imprisonment. Did not.
So there is no use of skipping this life imprisonment when the person is getting maximum sentence. The person who can got 3 years.
But then he can only refer it to the CJM.
CJM, sir. And there is no such provision, sir.
And CJM cannot further refer. No provision. No provision.
Right, sir.
But the Kerala High Court, speaking through Justice Padmanabhan, has taken the view that assistant session judge can exercise the power under 325 for referring the case to the session judge. If he is of the view that in an NDPS case, it was forwarded to made over to the assistant session judge. who is a subject here. Now, the offense being NDPS Act, minimum sentence was 10 years. Minimum sentence then, before the 2002 amendment, 10 years. Therefore, this lordship said the provision under 325 can be exercised, invoked not only by magistrate but also by assistant session judges to the session judges. So there is such a ruling by the Kerala High Court.
That's it. It will be good for me to see.
Okay.
So nice of you. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Thank you. So till we meet again tomorrow. Take care.